Baby followed a mother bear with broken leg in the forest. What happened next will shock you. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know where you're watching from. If you love my content, consider supporting it with a super thanks. Every bit of your support helps us create even more amazing stories for you. The morning sun peeked through the tall pine trees surrounding the small wooden cabin where Noah and Emma Watson lived with their baby daughter Lily. The cabin sat at the edge of Pine Ridge Forest, a place where wildlife roamed freely and humans rarely ventured deep inside. That morning was like any other. Birds chirping, leaves rustling in the gentle breeze, and little Lily playing in her playpen near the open window. Emma was busy preparing breakfast in the kitchen while Noah chopped firewood outside. Neither of them noticed the wounded mother bear limping along the narrow dirt path that ran behind their cabin. The bear moved slowly, each step causing her to wince in pain. Her front right leg was badly hurt, possibly broken, and she struggled to put any weight on it. Despite her injury, she pressed forward, driven by some unseen force. Little Lily, just 18 months old with bright, curious eyes and soft blonde curls, spotted the bear from her playpen. Instead of fear, her innocent face showed concern. She watched as the massive creature hobbled past their yard, leaving uneven tracks in the soft earth. The bear paused briefly, looking back toward the cabin with sad, tired eyes before continuing her painful journey into the deeper parts of the forest. Something about the bear's suffering called to Lily. Perhaps it was the pure empathy that only children possess before the world teaches them fear. When Emma stepped away to answer the phone and Noah moved to the front of the cabin, Lily managed to push open the screen window just enough. With the determination of a toddler who had recently learned to walk, she climbed out and tumbled softly onto the grass below. Lily stood up, brushed off her tiny overalls, and began following the trail of the injured bear. Her small feet carried her away from safety and into the mysterious forest that had always been forbidden. The distance between the small child and the wounded animal grew smaller with each determined step. Neither the bear nor the baby knew that this unusual encounter would change both their lives forever. Noah finished stacking the firewood and wiped a sweat from his forehead. The morning had grown warmer, and he looked forward to the pancakes Emma was making. He walked around to the back of the cabin, planning to wash his hands at the outdoor pump when he noticed unusual marks in the dirt. Large paw prints alongside tiny footprints that could only belong to Lily. "Emma!" he shouted, his heart suddenly pounding. "Where's Lily?" Emma rushed to the window where she had left their daughter playing. The empty playpen and pushed-open screen told them everything they needed to know. Their baby had somehow gotten out and was now somewhere in the forest, following a wild animal. Meanwhile, deeper among the trees, the mother bear continued her painful journey. Each step sent shooting pain through her leg, causing her to pause frequently. The wound was fresh, likely from a hunter's trap she had escaped. Blood matted her dark fur, and she breathed heavily from the exertion and pain. Lily followed at a distance, stumbling over roots and rocks but always getting back up. When the bear stopped to rest against a fallen oak, Lily approached slowly. The massive creature turned her head, sensing the child's presence. Their eyes met, dark, pained animal eyes, looking into innocent blue ones. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The bear made a soft huffing sound, not threatening, but almost questioning. Lily, unafraid, reached out her tiny hand as if to offer comfort. The bear did not move away. Instead, she lowered her massive head, allowing Lily to touch her fur. The child's gentle pat seemed to momentarily ease the bear's suffering. Back at the cabin, Noah grabbed his rifle while Emma called their neighbors for help. "Our baby is following a bear into the forest," she explained through tears. Word spread quickly through the small community, and soon a search party was forming. The local ranger, Marcus Thompson, arrived first with tracking equipment and medical supplies. "What kind of bear was it?" Marcus asked, his face grave with concern. "I didn't see it," Noah admitted. "But the tracks suggest it's a full-grown black bear, and it appears to be injured." "An injured bear is unpredictable," Marcus warned. "We need to move quickly, but carefully." As the search party ventured into the forest, the sky began to darken with gathering storm clouds. Time was running out before rain would wash away the tracks they were following, and before darkness would make the search nearly impossible. In the heart of the forest, Lily and the bear had formed an unusual bond. When the bear resumed her difficult journey, Lily followed, occasionally offering comforting pats when the animal needed to rest. Openko the bear seemed to accept the child's presence, sometimes looking back as if to make sure Lily was still following. Their strange procession continued deeper into the forest, toward a destination only the mother bear knew. The trees grew thicker, blocking out much of the daylight. Strange sounds echoed around them, birds calling warnings, small animals scurrying away, and the distant rumble of thunder. Lily should have been terrified, but instead she felt a strange sense of purpose, as if she was meant to help this suffering creature. After nearly an hour of difficult travel, the bear and her tiny human companion reached a small clearing surrounded by dense bushes. The bear's pace quickened despite her pain, and she made soft grunting sounds that seemed almost urgent. Lily struggled to keep up, her little legs tired from the long walk. The bear pushed through a thick wall of bushes and disappeared from view. Lily hesitated for the first time, suddenly unsure without the bear's guidance. Then she heard a sound that made her heart beat faster, a soft, whimpering cry that didn't come from the mother bear. Curiosity overcame caution, and Lily pushed through the bushes after the bear. What she found on the other side made her gasp with wonder. In a small, sheltered den beneath the exposed roots of a massive tree lay two tiny bear cubs. One was moving around normally, but the second lay very still, making weak crying sounds. The mother bear limped to her cubs, nuzzling them gently. The healthy cub responded eagerly, while the sick one barely moved. Lily watched as the mother bear tried to encourage her weak cub to stand, but it couldn't seem to find the strength. The mother bear turned to look at Lily, and in that moment the child understood. This was why the bear had been so determined to return to this spot despite her injury. Her babies needed her, especially the sick one. Perhaps the bear had been searching for food or medicine when she was caught in the trap. Lily approached slowly and knelt beside the sick cub. It was small, probably only a few weeks old, with fluffy black fur and closed eyes. Its breathing was shallow and labored. The mother bear watched carefully but made no move to stop the child. Meanwhile, the search party followed the tracks through the forest. Noah's face was etched with worry, and Emma could barely contain her tears. The ranger led the way, his experienced eyes reading the story told by the tracks. "The bear is definitely injured," Marcus observed, pointing to spots of blood on fallen leaves. "But it's strange. There's no sign of aggression. Your daughter appears to be following voluntarily, and the bear isn't trying to carry her or harm her." "What does that mean?" Emma asked, her voice trembling. "I'm not sure," Marcus admitted. "In all my years as a ranger, I've never seen anything like this." The gathering storm clouds finally released their rain, a light drizzle at first that quickly turned heavier. The tracks would soon be washed away, but fortunately, they had followed them far enough to have a general direction. Back in the den, Lily noticed the mother bear trying to reach something just outside the entrance, a small pool of rainwater that had formed in a natural depression in the rock. The bear was trying to bring water to her sick cub, but her injured leg made it difficult to carry anything. Understanding dawned in Lily's young mind. With determination, she cupped her small hands together and dipped them into the rainwater. Carefully, she carried the water to the sick cub and let drops fall into its mouth. The cub responded weakly, licking at the moisture. The mother bear watched, her intelligent eyes seeming to understand what Lily was trying to do. When the child repeated the process several times, the sick cub began to show more signs of life, moving its tiny paws and making stronger noises. Thunder rumbled overhead as the storm intensified. Lily shivered in her wet clothes, suddenly realizing how far from home she was. The mother bear noticed and shifted position, creating a space between herself and her cubs, an invitation that Lily understood. The child curled up against the bear's warm fur, finding comfort in the strange family she had joined. The rain fell in sheets now, drenching the search party and obscuring their vision. Noah's desperation grew with each passing minute. "Lily," he called repeatedly, his voice hoarse from shouting. The other searchers spread out, covering more ground despite the challenging conditions. Marcus studied a broken twig. "They came this way not long ago," he said. "The bear seems to be heading toward the northern ridge. There are several caves and dens in that area where bears often raise their young." Emma clutched Noah's arm. "You think the bear has cubs? Is that where it's taking our baby?" "It's possible," Marcus replied. "If this bear is a mother with cubs, that might explain her behavior. She might not see your daughter as a threat or as prey. But an injured mother bear protecting her cubs could be even more dangerous," Noah argued. Marcus nodded grimly. "We need to approach very carefully when we find them. No sudden movements, no loud noises." The search party pressed on, fighting against the rain and wind. The forest had become a maze of shadows and sounds, disorienting even to experienced woodsmen. Every minute felt like an hour to the worried parents. In the den, Lily continued to help the sick cub, bringing water and stroking its fur just as she had seen the mother bear do. The cub's condition seemed to be improving, its breathing becoming more regular. The mother bear watched over them all, occasionally licking her own wound, which continued to bleed slowly. Lily noticed the bear's pain and remembered something her mother always did when she got hurt. She tore a small strip from the bottom of her shirt and dipped it in the rainwater. With gentle hands, she placed the damp cloth on the bear's injured leg. The bear flinched at first, but then relaxed, seeming to understand the child's intention. The healthy cub grew curious about this strange visitor and cautiously approached Lily. It sniffed her hands and clothes, making soft grunting noises that made Lily giggle. For a moment, the fear and danger of their situation were forgotten as child and cub engaged in innocent play. Outside, the storm raged on. Lightning flashed across the sky, briefly illuminating the forest in harsh white light. In one such flash, Noah spotted something, a small opening among dense bushes, partially hidden by overhanging tree roots. "There!" he shouted, pointing toward what looked like a den entrance. "That could be where they are." The search party approached cautiously, their flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. Noah wanted to rush forward, to call out his daughter's name, but Marcus held him back. "If the bear is in there with your daughter, we need to be extremely careful," the ranger warned. "Let me approach first." Marcus crept toward the den entrance, moving slowly to avoid startling any animals inside. The parents held their breath, their hearts pounding with fear and hope. Had they finally found their little girl? And if so, would they find her safe, or they couldn't bear to complete the thought. Inside the den, Lily had fallen asleep against the mother bear's warm side, one small hand resting on the sick cub. The healthy cub had curled up beside its sibling, and for a moment they looked like one unusual family seeking shelter from the storm. The mother bear's ears perked up at the sound of approaching footsteps. She raised her head and let out a low, warning growl, careful not to wake the sleeping child. Her protective instincts told her to defend her cubs and this strange human child who had somehow become part of her responsibility. Outside, Marcus heard the growl and stopped. "There's definitely a bear in there," he whispered to the others. "Everyone stay back. Noah, I know you want to rush in, but that could be disastrous." "But my daughter is in there," Noah protested, his voice breaking. "And we'll get her out safely," Marcus promised, "but we need to be smart about this." The ranger took a small flashlight and shone it gently into the den opening. What he saw made him freeze in astonishment. "I don't believe it," he whispered. "What? What do you see?" Emma demanded, moving forward despite the warning. Marcus didn't try to stop her this time. "Look," he said simply, holding the light steady. Emma peered into the den and gasped. There was Lily, sleeping peacefully against the fur of an enormous black bear. Two cubs were nestled nearby, and one of them appeared to be sick or injured. The mother bear was watching the entrance warily, her eyes reflecting the flashlight beam, but she made no move to attack. Most shocking of all was Lily's small hand resting on the bear's injured leg, where a makeshift bandage made from her shirt had been placed. She's helping them," Emma whispered in disbelief. Noah looked too, his eyes wide with amazement. The sight defied everything he had ever believed about wild animals, especially predators like bears. His daughter wasn't being held captive or threatened. She was being protected. "I've never seen anything like this in all my years as a ranger," Marcus admitted. "This goes against everything we know about bear behavior." The mother bear watched them warily, but seemed to understand they weren't there to harm her or the cubs. Perhaps she recognized the same concern in the human parent's eyes that she felt for her own young. "What do we do now?" Noah asked, his voice barely audible. Marcus thought for a moment. "The bear is injured, and one of the cubs appears sick. They need help, and so does your daughter. I have some medical supplies and food in my pack. Let's see if the bear will allow us to help." Slowly, carefully, Marcus took out a bottle of water and some clean bandages. He moved toward the den entrance, speaking in a soft, soothing voice. "It's okay. We're here to help. No one's going to hurt you or your cubs." The mother bear growled softly, but didn't charge. Marcus took this as permission to come closer. Inch by inch, he entered the den, followed by Emma and Noah, who couldn't bear to be separated from their daughter any longer. The movement and voices woke Lily. She rubbed her eyes sleepily and then lit up with joy. "Mama! Dada!" she called out, but didn't move from her position next to the bear and cubs. "Lily, are you okay?" Emma asked, fighting the urge to rush forward and grab her child. Lily nodded. "Bear hurt," she explained in her limited vocabulary, pointing to the mother bear's leg. "Baby bear sick." She gestured to the weaker cub. Noah marveled at his daughter's compassion and bravery. Even at her young age, she had recognized suffering and tried to help, without fear or prejudice. Marcus examined the mother bear's injury from a safe distance. "It looks like a trap wound. Not too deep, but it needs cleaning and proper bandaging." The mother bear seemed to understand they were trying to help. She remained still but alert as Marcus slowly approached with medical supplies. "This is extraordinary," he whispered. "She's allowing us near her cubs. I've never seen a wild bear do that." With extreme caution, Marcus began treating the mother bear's wound. He cleaned it gently with antiseptic wipes and applied proper bandages. The bear winced but remained surprisingly calm, as if she understood this temporary pain was necessary for healing. Emma sat nearby with Lily in her lap, whispering reassurances and checking her daughter for any injuries. Miraculously, apart from a few scratches and being wet from the rain, Lily was perfectly fine. She seemed more concerned about the bears than herself. "Bear better now?" she asked repeatedly, pointing to the mother bear's newly bandaged leg. "Yes, sweetie, the bear will feel better now," Emma assured her, amazed at her daughter's empathy. Marcus turned his attention to the sick cub. "This little one is dehydrated and weak," he observed. "Probably hasn't been able to nurse properly while the mother was injured and searching for help." From his pack, he produced a small bottle of a special formula used for orphaned wildlife. "This might help," he said, filling a small syringe with the liquid. With Lily watching intently, he carefully fed the sick cub, drop by drop. The mother bear observed this treatment of her cub with intelligent eyes. Instead of aggression, she showed what could only be described as trust, a wild animal allowing humans to handle her most vulnerable offspring. Noah, who had been the most fearful about the encounter, found himself moved beyond words. "I've hunted all my life," he said quietly to Marcus. "I never imagined animals could understand like this." "Bears are incredibly intelligent," Marcus replied. "But this goes beyond intelligence. This is something special." The storm outside began to subside, and faint moonlight filtered through the den entrance. The immediate crisis had passed, but new questions arose. What would happen now? They couldn't stay in the den forever, but the bears weren't ready to fend for themselves yet either. "We should return to the cabin and come back tomorrow with more supplies," Marcus suggested. "The mother bear needs time to rest and recover." Emma nodded, but Lily looked distressed at the thought of leaving. "Bears need help," she insisted, her small face serious. Noah knelt beside his daughter. "We'll help them, Lily, I promise. But we need to go home now so we can come back with more medicine and food." Lily considered this, then nodded reluctantly. She approached the mother bear one last time and gently patted her head. "Feel better," she said simply, then did the same to both cubs. The mother bear made a soft huffing sound and gently nudged Lily with her nose, a gesture that looked remarkably like gratitude. The moment was so powerful that even the other searchers who had been watching from a distance felt tears in their eyes. As they prepared to leave, Marcus made a decision. "I'm going to set up a trail camera near the den entrance. With your permission," he said to Noah and Emma, "I'd like to document this. It's an unprecedented interaction that could change how we understand wildlife behavior." Noah, who had once viewed bears only as potential threats or hunting trophies, found himself nodding in agreement. "Yes," he said, "people should know about this." The next morning, Noah, Emma, and Marcus returned to the den with supplies. Lily stayed home with a neighbor, much to her disappointment. They approached cautiously, uncertain of how the bear would react without Lily's presence. To their relief, the mother bear recognized them and remained calm. The sick cub showed improvement, moving around more and nursing from its mother. The wound on the mother bear's leg looked better too, though it would take time to heal completely. "I checked the trail camera footage," Marcus told them as they watched the bear family from a safe distance. "Last night, after we left, something remarkable happened. The mother bear moved both her cubs outside the den and seemed to be looking around, as if searching for something." "For Lily?" Emma asked in disbelief. Marcus nodded. "It appeared that way. She seemed confused that your daughter wasn't there anymore." Over the next week, they established a routine. Each morning, they would visit the den with food and medical supplies. The mother bear grew increasingly comfortable with their presence, even allowing them to check her bandages and treat her cubs. Lily was allowed to visit too, under strict supervision. The reunion between child and bears was touching. The mother bear made soft, welcoming sounds when Lily appeared, and the cubs, now both healthy and active, played gently with the little girl. Word spread throughout the community and beyond. A local wildlife photographer captured images of Lily sitting peacefully beside the mother bear, her small hand resting on the bear's massive paw. The photos went viral, appearing in newspapers and on websites around the world. Scientists and bear experts came to observe the unusual bond. They were baffled but fascinated. "This challenges everything we thought we knew about bear behavior," one expert admitted. "It suggests a level of emotional intelligence and cross-species empathy that hasn't been documented before." As the mother bear's leg healed and her cubs grew stronger, Marcus knew they would soon return to the wild. "They can't become dependent on humans," he explained to Lily, who didn't fully understand but nodded seriously. On the final day of their visits, Emma brought a camera to record the moment. The mother bear seemed to sense this was goodbye. She approached Lily and gently nuzzled her, then shepherded her cubs forward as if to introduce them one last time. Lily hugged each cub carefully and patted the mother bear's nose. "Be safe," she said, a phrase she had heard her parents use. As they turned to leave, the mother bear did something extraordinary. She rose on her hind legs, a pose that would normally signal aggression, but instead she simply watched them go, standing tall and proud, as if offering her own farewell. Months passed, and the story of Lily and the bears became more than just a local tale. News crews came from across the country to interview the family and Marcus. The trail camera footage captured moments so extraordinary that wildlife experts called it unprecedented behavior. The area where the den had been was declared a wildlife sanctuary, protected from hunting and development. Noah, once an avid hunter, hung up his rifle for good. "I can't look at animals the same way anymore," he explained to friends who didn't understand his change of heart. "Not after what I saw." Some of his hunting buddies laughed and called him soft. "It's just a bear, Noah, not like it's a person," his friend Rick commented one evening at the local diner. Noah shook his head slowly. "You had to be there, Rick. That bear knew my daughter was helping her. She protected Lily like she was one of her own cubs. I can't explain it, but it changes a man to see something like that." Emma started a children's program at the local school, teaching kids about wildlife and compassion. She used Lily's story as an example of how empathy can cross boundaries that seem impossible to bridge. Parents reported their children were more gentle with animals and more thoughtful about nature after hearing Lily's story. As for Lily, she grew into a child with an extraordinary connection to animals. Wildlife seemed drawn to her. Birds would land near her, deer would allow her to approach, and once, a fox with an injured paw limped into their yard as if seeking help. Noah and Emma helped Lily bandage the fox's paw, and for 3 days, it stayed in a makeshift shelter they built, allowing them to feed it before disappearing back into the forest, leaving only paw prints to show it had been there at all. Winter came to Pine Ridge Forest, bringing heavy snow and bitter cold. The sanctuary remained undisturbed, with Marcus checking his cameras remotely to monitor wildlife activity. The footage showed the mother bear and her cubs had denned up for winter about 2 miles from their previous location. "They'll sleep through most of the cold months," Marcus explained to Lily, who worried about her bear friends in the snow. "Bears are very good at surviving winter." 2 days before Christmas, a terrible blizzard hit the region. Wind howled around the Watson cabin, rattling windows and piling snow against the doors. Noah stoked the fire higher as Emma hung stockings on the mantel. Lily pressed her face against the window glass, watching snowflakes swirl in the darkness. "I hope the bears are warm," she said, her breath fogging the cold glass. "They're snug in their den," Emma assured her, "just like we're snug in ours." That night, as the storm raged, strange sounds woke Noah from a deep sleep. Something was scratching at their back door, something large. He grabbed his flashlight, heart pounding with memories of that day in the forest. "Noah?" Emma whispered, sitting up in bed. "What's that noise?" "Stay here with Lily," he instructed, pulling on his boots. The scratching continued, more urgent now. Noah moved cautiously through the dark cabin, flashlight beam bobbing ahead of him. When he reached the kitchen, he aimed the light toward the back door and froze. Through the window, he could see a large black shape on the porch. Snow dusted dark fur, and intelligent eyes reflected his flashlight beam. It was a bear. Not just any bear, but the mother bear they had helped all those months ago. "Emma," he called softly. "Come here, but don't bring Lily yet." Emma appeared at his side, gasping when she saw their visitor. "What's she doing here? Bears should be hibernating now." Noah shook his head in confusion. Something must be wrong. The bear scratched at the door again, then moved to the window where they could see her clearly. She made a huffing sound they remembered from the den, the same sound she had made when trying to communicate with Lily. "Should we call Marcus?" Emma asked, uncertain. Before Noah could answer, they heard small footsteps behind them. Lily, awakened by the commotion, stood in her pajamas, rubbing sleep from her eyes. When she spotted the bear at the window, instead of being frightened, her face lit up with recognition. "Bear friend!" she exclaimed, rushing to the window. The mother bear seemed to grow more agitated at the sight of Lily, pawing at the glass and making urgent sounds. "She wants us to follow her," Lily said with absolute certainty. Noah and Emma exchanged worried glances. "Honey, we can't go out in this storm, and bears should be hibernating right now," Emma tried to explain. But Lily was insistent. "She needs help, like before." Noah studied the bear's behavior more carefully. She would approach the window, make huffing sounds, then move away several feet before looking back expectantly. The classic behavior of an animal trying to lead someone somewhere. "I think Lily might be right," he said slowly. "Something's wrong, and she came to us for help." "You can't seriously be considering going out in a blizzard to follow a bear," Emma protested. Noah was already pulling on his heavy winter coat. "I'll call Marcus on the radio. He can meet us at the sanctuary entrance. I'll take my emergency pack with supplies." "I'm coming too," Lily declared, standing as tall as her small frame allowed. "Absolutely not," Emma said firmly. "It's dangerous enough for your father to go out in this weather." Lily's face crumpled. "But the bear came for me. She knows me." Noah knelt before his daughter. "Your mom is right, Lily. It's too dangerous, but I promise I'll help your bear friend." After a tense discussion, they reached a compromise. Emma and Lily would follow in their truck, staying safely inside while Noah and Marcus investigated whatever the bear was trying to show them. Noah radioed Marcus, who was stunned but agreed to meet them. When Noah opened the back door, the mother bear backed away but didn't flee. She waited while he gathered his emergency pack and pulled on snowshoes. When he stepped onto the porch, she made a soft sound and moved toward the tree line, looking back to make sure he was following. "I can't believe I'm doing this," Noah muttered, switching on his headlamp and trudging after the bear into the snowy forest. The blizzard made progress difficult, but the mother bear seemed to know exactly where she was going. She moved with purpose, occasionally waiting for Noah to catch up. Through radio updates, Noah guided Emma and Marcus to follow in their vehicles as far as the forest roads would allow. After nearly 40 minutes of difficult travel, the bear led Noah to a steep ravine. The beam of his headlamp revealed what had drawn the bear from her winter sleep. One of her cubs had fallen into the ravine and was stranded on a narrow ledge about 15 feet down. The cub was making pitiful crying sounds, clearly injured and unable to climb out. "I found them," Noah radioed to Marcus and Emma. "One of the cubs is trapped in Peterson's ravine. The mother can't reach it." The bear paced anxiously at the edge of the ravine, occasionally calling to her cub. The second cub was nowhere to be seen, likely safe in their den. Noah realized with astonishment that the mother bear had remembered him, remembered that his family had helped her before, and had deliberately sought their assistance again. Marcus arrived first, equipped with climbing gear and a tranquilizer gun. "This is unbelievable," he said, staring at the mother bear who watched them warily but made no threatening moves. "Bears don't seek human help. It goes against everything we know about their behavior." "This one does," Noah replied simply. Emma arrived with Lily, keeping the truck's headlights pointed toward the ravine to provide additional light. Despite promises to stay in the vehicle, Lily pressed her face against the window, watching intently. "The cub looks injured," Marcus observed after examining it with binoculars. "Probably a broken leg from the fall. I can rappel down and bring it up in a carrier, but the mother might attack if she thinks we're hurting her cub." "She won't," Noah said with surprising confidence. "She knows we're helping." Still, they took precautions. Emma would keep Lily safely in the truck, and Marcus would keep the tranquilizer gun ready just in case. Noah would handle the actual rescue since the mother bear seemed to trust him most. As Noah prepared to rappel down the ravine, the truck door suddenly opened. Before Emma could stop her, Lily had slipped out and was running toward the bear. "Lily, no!" Emma screamed, scrambling after her daughter. But something remarkable happened. The mother bear moved to meet Lily, making soft, almost purring sounds. Lily stopped in front of the massive creature, looking tiny against the bear's hulking form. "Your baby is stuck," Lily said to the bear, pointing to the ravine. "We will help." The mother bear huffed softly, as if in agreement, then did something that left all the adults speechless. She gently nudged Lily toward Noah, then backed away from the ravine edge, giving them room to work. "She's asking us to help," Marcus whispered in disbelief, "and she wants Lily to be part of it." Emma, her heart in her throat, couldn't deny what she was seeing. The mother bear was deliberately communicating her needs and showing trust in their family, especially in Lily. With Emma holding tightly to Lily's hand, Noah prepared his climbing gear, while Marcus readied a small animal carrier lined with blankets. The mother bear watched every move, but remained calm. Noah rappelled down the ravine with skill born from years of mountain rescue training. The cub cowered on the ledge, frightened by the strange human approaching. From above, the mother bear called softly to her cub, seeming to reassure it. "I'm going to help you," Noah told the cub, slowly extending his hand. The small bear sniffed his fingers curiously. From the edge, Lily called down, "It's okay, baby bear. My daddy will bring you to your mommy." Whether it was Lily's voice or some unseen communication from its mother, the cub allowed Noah to carefully place it in the carrier. Its right front leg was clearly broken, an eerie echo of its mother's previous injury. With Marcus's help, Noah brought the carrier safely to the top of the ravine. The mother bear approached cautiously as they set the carrier down and opened it. The injured cub limped out, crying pitifully, and rushed to its mother, who immediately began licking it all over, checking for injuries. "We need to help fix the leg," Lily insisted, tugging on Marcus's coat. Marcus nodded. "You're right, Lily. It needs medical attention." The challenge was convincing the mother bear to let them take her cub for treatment. But once again, the extraordinary animal seemed to understand their intentions. When Marcus slowly approached with a blanket, she watched carefully but did not interfere as he gently wrapped her cub. "We'll take good care of your baby," Lily promised the mother bear, "like you took care of me in your den." The mother bear made a soft sound and gently nudged her cub toward Marcus, an act of trust so profound that Emma felt tears freezing on her cheeks in the bitter cold. They brought the injured cub to Marcus's Wildlife Rehabilitation Center at the edge of the sanctuary. The mother bear followed them the entire way, keeping pace with their slow-moving vehicles through the snowy forest. When they arrived at the center, she waited outside, occasionally looking through the windows as if checking on her cub's progress. The veterinarian Marcus called was astonished by the situation. A mother bear voluntarily allowing humans to take her cub for treatment. I've never heard of such a thing in all my years of wildlife medicine. X-rays confirmed a clean break in the cub's leg. Fortunately, it's a simple fracture, the vet explained as she applied a cast. Bears heal quickly, especially young ones. With proper care, it should heal completely in a few weeks. Throughout the procedure, Lily insisted on staying nearby, talking softly to the sedated cub. "Your leg will be better soon," she promised, "just like your mommy's leg got better." By morning, the blizzard had stopped, leaving the world blanketed in pristine white. The cub was awake and alert, though groggy from pain medication. The mother bear remained outside, occasionally visible through the windows as she paced in the snow. "We can't keep the cub here long," Marcus explained to the family. "It needs to return to the wild with its mother, but it also needs proper medical care while the leg heals." Noah suggested a solution. "What if we build a temporary shelter near their den? Something where the cub can recover with its mother and sibling, but we can still check on it and provide care?" Marcus considered this. It could work. We'd need to locate their winter den first. "I think the mother bear would show us," Emma said, surprising herself with the certainty she felt. "She's already demonstrated she understands what we're trying to do." They were right. When they cautiously brought the cub outside in a carrier, the mother bear approached, checking on her baby through the wire door. After a moment of what looked remarkably like contemplation, she turned and began walking slowly through the snow, pausing to look back at them expectantly. "She's leading us to their den," Marcus confirmed as they followed at a respectful distance. The den was located under the gnarled roots of a massive oak tree, nearly invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. The second cub peeked out cautiously as its mother approached. Snow had built up around the entrance, creating additional insulation against the winter cold. Over the next few days, Noah, Marcus, and several volunteers constructed a simple wooden shelter that extended from the natural den. It provided protection from the elements while allowing the bear family to remain together. A small door allowed humans to check on the injured cub and provide food and medical care. Most remarkably, the mother bear seemed to understand and accept this arrangement. She would move deeper into the natural den when humans approached, but showed no aggression. The injured cub grew accustomed to their visits and would eagerly accept the extra food they brought. Word of this extraordinary situation spread quickly. Wildlife experts, researchers, and media outlets clamored for access to observe and document what many were calling a breakthrough in human-wildlife relations. Marcus carefully controlled who could visit, protecting the bears from too much human intrusion. 3 weeks into the cub's recovery, a new threat emerged. A logging company had purchased land adjacent to the sanctuary, and was challenging the recently established boundaries. Their legal team argued that the sanctuary designation had been rushed through without proper procedures and should be reversed. They want to cut right through the bears' territory, Marcus explained grimly during an emergency meeting at the Watson cabin. If they win this legal challenge, the sanctuary could be reduced by nearly half its current size. But that would displace dozens of animals, not just our bear family, Emma protested. Exactly. And it would set a dangerous precedent for other wildlife preserves in the region. Noah pounded his fist on the table. We can't let this happen. These animals trust us now. How can we betray that trust? Lily, who had been quietly coloring nearby, looked up with concern. Are the bad people going to hurt our bears? Emma pulled her daughter close. No, sweetie, we won't let that happen. But the threat was real. The logging company, Northland Timber, had powerful connections and substantial financial resources. They began a PR campaign depicting the sanctuary as an overreaction to one unusual bear interaction that was costing jobs and economic growth. Local opinion began to divide. While many supported protecting the bears, others worried about lost employment opportunities in a region where good jobs were scarce. We need to fight back, Noah declared. Show people why this sanctuary matters. Marcus had an idea. The trail camera footage. We've been documenting the bears' recovery and behavior. People need to see what we've seen. The intelligence, the trust, the relationship that's formed. Emma, who had experience in media from her college days, suggested creating a short documentary. We can show the world what these bears are really like. Not just wild animals, but intelligent beings capable of trust and gratitude. With Marcus's footage and additional material they filmed during their visits to the recovery shelter, Emma created a compelling 15-minute documentary. It showed the initial rescue of the mother bear, Lily's extraordinary bond with the bear family, and the recent effort to save the injured cub. Most powerful were the scenes showing the mother bear's deliberate communication and trust toward the humans helping her family. They uploaded the video to social media, where it quickly went viral. News programs picked it up, and soon the story of the Pine Ridge Bears was being discussed across the country. Scientists and animal behaviorists weighed in, calling the footage revolutionary and paradigm-shifting in understanding bear cognition and emotion. Public opinion began to shift back in the sanctuary's favor. Letters and emails flooded in to local officials, urging them to protect the bears and their habitat. Children sent drawings and letters addressed to Lily and her bear friends. Northland Timber's executives, facing mounting negative publicity, requested a meeting with Marcus and the Watson family. Their proposal was unexpected. They would withdraw their legal challenge if they could be guaranteed logging rights to a different parcel of land away from the sanctuary. It's still old-growth forest, Marcus pointed out during tense negotiations. Just because it's not within the sanctuary doesn't mean it should be destroyed. The company representative leaned forward. Look, we need this timber. Our mills employ over 200 people in this county alone. If we can't cut here, we'll have to close operations entirely. Noah, who had been quiet throughout the meeting, finally spoke. What if there was another way? A compromise that protected both the forest and the jobs? Noah's idea was ambitious but practical. Establish a sustainable forestry program that would allow limited, carefully managed timber harvesting while preserving the ecosystem. It would mean fewer trees harvested in the short term, but would ensure the forest's and the company's long-term survival. My grandfather was a logger, Noah explained, but he taught me that you never take more than the forest can regrow. That wisdom got lost somewhere along the way. To everyone's surprise, Northland's CEO, Thomas Blackwood, arrived personally for the next meeting. A stern-faced man with silver hair, he didn't seem like someone who would easily compromise. "Mr. Watson," he said after listening to Noah's proposal, "your idea is admirable but impractical. Selective harvesting costs more and yields less." "Initially, yes," Noah conceded, "but sustainable forestry preserves the resource indefinitely. Your company could be harvesting these same lands 100 years from now instead of constantly fighting for new territory." The discussion grew heated at times, with neither side willing to concede key points. During a tense break in the negotiations, Lily, who had been waiting outside with Emma, wandered into the meeting room. "Are you the man who wants to hurt the bears?" she asked Blackwood directly, her small face serious. The room fell silent. Blackwood seemed taken aback by the child's directness. "I don't want to hurt any bears, little girl. I just want to run my business." Lily considered this, then said, "My bear friends share their forest with everyone. Why can't you share too?" Something in Blackwood's expression shifted. He studied Lily for a long moment, then asked, "You're the child from the video? The one who followed the bear?" Lily nodded solemnly. "Would you show me these bears of yours?" he asked unexpectedly. "I'd like to see them for myself." That afternoon, Blackwood accompanied the Watsons and Marcus to the recovery shelter. The mother bear was initially wary of the stranger but remained calm. The injured cub, its cast recently removed, played with its sibling near the entrance while their mother watched protectively. Blackwood observed in silence for nearly half an hour. When the mother bear approached the edge of the shelter and made eye contact with him, something passed between them. A moment of recognition or understanding that left the hardened businessman visibly moved. "Remarkable," he murmured. "Truly remarkable." On the walk back, Blackwood revealed something unexpected. "My daughter is a wildlife biologist in Alaska. She's been telling me for years that I don't understand the true value of what we're cutting down. Maybe she's right." 3 days later, Northland Timber announced a surprising change in policy. They would withdraw all legal challenges to the sanctuary, and instead partner with local conservation groups to implement a sustainable forestry program in other regions. Furthermore, they would donate a significant parcel of land to expand the sanctuary and establish the Pine Ridge Wildlife Research Center, dedicated to studying animal cognition and behavior. When asked about this dramatic shift, Blackwood told reporters, "Sometimes you need to see something with your own eyes to truly understand its value. These bears have taught me something important about stewardship and trust. It's time we listened to what the forest is trying to tell us." As winter's grip loosened and the first signs of spring appeared in Pine Ridge Forest, the bear family prepared to leave their winter shelter. The injured cub's leg had healed completely, leaving only a slight limp that would likely disappear as it grew stronger. Marcus removed the wooden extension from their den, restoring it to its natural state. "It's time for them to return to being truly wild," he explained to Lily, who had mixed feelings about seeing less of her bear friends. "Will they remember us?" she asked worriedly. "I think they will," Emma assured her. "But they need to live as bears should, without depending on humans." On the first truly warm day of spring, the Watson family and Marcus gathered at a safe distance to watch as the bear family emerged fully from their den. The cubs, now much larger and more confident, wrestled playfully while their mother surveyed the forest that had changed during their winter sleep. New research equipment dotted the sanctuary: cameras, tracking stations, and environmental sensors established by the newly formed research center. Scientists from across the country had applied to study the unique bear behaviors documented in Pine Ridge. The mother bear seemed to notice their human observers. She stood watching them for a long moment, then deliberately approached, stopping about 30 feet away, Close enough for recognition, but far enough to remain wild. "She's saying goodbye," Lily said softly. As if confirming the child's words, the mother bear made the familiar huffing sound they had come to recognize, then turned and led her cubs deeper into the forest. The family disappeared among the trees, leaving only tracks in the soft spring earth to show they had been there. That night, Lily was unusually quiet during dinner. When Emma asked what she was thinking about, the little girl replied, "The bears taught people to be kind, didn't they, Mama?" Emma smiled. "Yes, they did. They taught us that kindness can cross boundaries we never thought possible. And they taught the logging man, too." "Mr. Blackwood? Yes, I suppose they did." Lily nodded, satisfied. That's what the bear wanted all along. Noah and Emma exchanged puzzled glances. "What do you mean, sweetie?" Noah asked. "The mother bear," Lily explained with a child's simple clarity. "She followed me first so I would follow her. Then she came to our house in the snow. She wanted to show people that bears are smart and kind. She knew people would help if they understood." The adults were silent, struck by the profound possibility in Lily's words. Could the mother bear have been that deliberate in her actions? Had she somehow known that by forming this connection with humans, she might ultimately protect her home and her kind? "From the mouths of babes," Marcus murmured, shaking his head in wonder. 5 years passed, and Pine Ridge transformed from a remote forest region to a renowned wildlife research center. The sanctuary expanded to protect over 50,000 acres of pristine habitat. Sustainable forestry practices, pioneered by Noah and Northland Timber, became a model adopted throughout the state. Lily, now 9 years old, had become something of a celebrity in wildlife conservation circles. Her natural affinity for animals remained extraordinary. She could approach creatures that normally fled from humans, and injured wildlife seemed drawn to her. Several times a year, she gave talks to school children about respecting and protecting animals, always ending with the story of the mother bear who had changed so many lives. Emma's documentary had spawned a series on animal intelligence, featuring remarkable stories of human-animal cooperation from around the world. She now ran the education department at the research center, teaching visitors about the complex emotional lives of the creatures sharing our planet. Noah had found his calling managing the Sustainable Forestry Program, showing it was possible to use forest resources without destroying the ecosystem. His program employed more people than traditional logging had, proving that conservation and economic prosperity could coexist. As for the bears, they remained wild but never completely disappeared from the Watsons' lives. Trail cameras occasionally captured footage of a large female black bear with a slight limp and her nearly grown cubs. Sometimes they would appear at the forest edge near the Watson cabin, observing but never approaching too closely, wild animals remembering a connection but respecting the boundaries that kept them safe. One autumn evening, as the family sat on their porch watching the sunset paint the forest in gold and crimson, Lily suddenly sat up straight, pointing toward the trees. "Look." At the forest edge stood the mother bear, instantly recognizable despite the years that had passed. Beside her was a young male bear, likely one of her cubs now fully grown. But what caused the family to gasp was the third bear, a smaller female with 2 tiny cubs of her own. "It's the female cub," Marcus whispered, having joined them for dinner that evening. "The one with the broken leg. She's brought her own cubs to see you." The 3 generations of bears stood watching the humans for several long minutes. Then, as if satisfied their message had been received, they turned and disappeared into the forest that remained their home, protected now and for generations to come. That night, as Emma tucked Lily into bed, her daughter asked a question that echoed one from years before. "Mama, do you think the bears know what they did for the forest? Emma sat on the edge of the bed, considering the question seriously. I don't know, Lily, but I do know they changed how we see them, how we see all animals. They showed us that the line between humans and animals isn't as clear as we once thought. The mother bear was smart, Lily stated with certainty. She knew she needed people to help save the forest. Maybe she did, Emma conceded. Or maybe she just trusted a little girl with a kind heart, and that was enough to start changing the world. As Lily drifted off to sleep, Emma joined Noah on the porch. The night was clear, stars glittering above the dark silhouette of Pine Ridge Forest. Somewhere in that darkness, bears dreamed their bear dreams, perhaps remembering a strange time when their lives had intertwined with humans. Do you ever wonder if Lily might be right? Noah asked quietly. About the mother bear deliberately seeking human help not just for herself, but for all the forest. Emma leaned against his shoulder. Scientists would say we're projecting human motives onto animal behavior. But I was there. I saw how that bear looked at us, at Lily. There was something in those eyes that went beyond animal instinct. Something like wisdom. Noah nodded. The logging might never have been stopped without the bear's story touching people's hearts. Without Lily following that bear, none of this would have happened. The breeze carried the scent of pine and earth, the eternal perfume of a healthy forest. Emma closed her eyes, listening to the night sounds, the hooting of an owl, the distant call of coyotes, the whisper of wind through branches, a symphony of wild voices, safe now because a child had once followed a mother bear with a broken leg into a forest. Sometimes, Emma said softly, the most important journeys begin with the smallest steps. And somewhere in the darkness, as if answering, came the distant, rumbling huff of a bear, a sound that might have been just another night noise, or might have been a reminder that some bonds, once formed, never truly break, even between the most unlikely of friends. The story of Lily and the bears would echo through generations, inspiring new understanding between humans and the wild creatures with whom we share this planet. It began with a simple act of compassion, a child following an injured animal, and grew into a legacy that would protect a forest and all its inhabitants long after. Those who started the journey had returned to the earth that nurtured them all. As Lily entered her teenage years, Pine Ridge Research Center had become internationally renowned. Scientists from around the world came to study the unique behaviors displayed by the local wildlife, particularly the bears who seemed to have developed an unusual level of comfort around certain humans. On Lily's 13th birthday, the family received unexpected news. A prestigious wildlife conservation program in Alaska had invited her to participate in their summer internship program for gifted young naturalists. The program normally accepted only high school students, but they had made an exception for Lily after reviewing the extraordinary documentation of her interactions with animals. Alaska, Noah exclaimed as they celebrated over dinner. That's quite an opportunity, sweetheart. Lily picked at her cake, unusually quiet. Would I be gone all summer? 3 months, Emma confirmed, watching her daughter carefully. It's a long time, but think of all you could learn about wildlife conservation on a larger scale. Marcus, who had become like an uncle to Lily over the years, added, The Denali Preserve has some of the most extensive bear populations in North America. Your experience here would be invaluable to their research. Lily nodded, but still seemed hesitant. Later that evening, Emma found her daughter sitting on the back porch, staring into the darkened forest. What's troubling you, Lily? I thought you'd be excited about Alaska. Lily sighed. I am, but... What if our bears need me while I'm gone? Emma sat beside her daughter, understanding the deep connection Lily still felt with the bear family they had helped years ago. The bears are fully wild now, Lily. They've been doing well without our direct involvement for years. But they still visit sometimes, like they're checking on us. It was true. Every few months, trail cameras would capture footage of the mother bear and her offspring passing near the boundaries of their property. Occasionally, they would appear at the forest edge at dusk, watching the cabin before disappearing again. The pattern was too consistent to be coincidence. I think, Emma said carefully, that part of loving something wild is knowing when to let it be wild. The bears have their own lives now, their own families, and maybe it's time for you to expand your horizons too. Lily considered this, her young face serious in the porch light. Do you think what happened here could happen other places? Could other people and animals learn to understand each other like we did with the bears? That's exactly why programs like the one in Alaska are so important, Emma explained. What we learned here, what you helped discover, could change how humans interact with wildlife everywhere. 2 weeks later, as Lily packed for her journey north, an unexpected visitor appeared. The family was having breakfast when Noah spotted movement at the forest edge. There, in the early morning light, stood the mother bear. Older now, her muzzle graying slightly, but still recognizable by the characteristic limp and the intelligent eyes that seemed to look right through you. She's alone, Marcus noted, studying her through binoculars. No cubs or adult offspring with her this time. The bear stood watching the cabin for several minutes. Then, unlike her usual pattern of simply observing before departing, she deliberately moved into the clearing, stopping about 50 yards from the house. She wants something, Lily said with absolute certainty, rising from the table. Lily, wait, Noah cautioned, but his daughter was already heading for the door. Emma placed a restraining hand on Noah's arm. Let her go. They've always had a connection we can't quite explain, Lily stepped off the porch and slowly walked toward the bear, stopping at a respectful distance. The two regarded each other in silence, the teenage girl and the aging bear, who had shared an extraordinary journey years before. I'm leaving for a while, Lily said, speaking as naturally as if the bear could understand every word. I'm going to learn how to help more animals, more forests. I'll come back, I promise. The mother bear huffed softly, that familiar sound they had come to recognize over the years. Then she did something she hadn't done since those first encounters in the den. She approached Lily, closing the distance between them until she stood just a few feet away. Noah tensed, but Emma squeezed his hand. Trust them, she whispered. The bear rose slightly on her hind legs, not in a threatening posture, but as if to look more directly at Lily. Then she dropped back to all fours and, with deliberate movements, rubbed her head against a nearby tree, leaving behind tufts of fur. She repeated this action several times, then looked at Lily as if expecting her to understand. She's leaving her scent, Marcus whispered in amazement. It's a territorial marker. She's claiming this area, making a statement. Lily seemed to understand instinctively. She approached the tree and placed her hand on the spot where the bear had rubbed, then looked back at the bear with tears in her eyes. I'll protect your home. I promise. The bear made one final soft huffing sound, then turned and disappeared into the forest with the unhurried gait of an animal completely at ease in its environment. When Lily returned to the porch, her face was resolute. She knows I'm leaving. She was saying goodbye. Marcus shook his head in wonder. The level of communication between you two defies everything we thought we knew about human-animal interactions. She was also reminding me of something, Lily added quietly, that this is her home and my job is to help people understand that. As she boarded the plane for Alaska the following week, Lily carried a small vial containing several strands of the mother bear's fur, a tangible reminder of the promise she had made to protect the forest and the creatures who called it home. The Denali Wildlife Program was unlike anything Lily had experienced before. The preserve sprawled across millions of acres of pristine wilderness, mountains, tundra, forests, and river valleys untouched by development. The scale made Pine Ridge seem tiny by comparison, yet the principles of conservation remained the same. Dr. Eleanor Blackwood, the program's director and a renowned wildlife biologist, took a special interest in Lily from the start. Your experience with the Pine Ridge bears is exactly the kind of breakthrough we're trying to achieve here, she explained during Lily's orientation. Understanding animal cognition and communication could revolutionize conservation efforts worldwide. It wasn't until their third meeting that Lily made the connection. Blackwood. Are you related to Thomas Blackwood of Northland Timber? Eleanor smiled. He's my father, and you must be the little girl who changed his mind about logging the sanctuary. Lily blushed. I didn't really do anything. It was the bears who convinced him. That's not how he tells the story, Eleanor replied. He says meeting you and seeing your connection with those bears changed everything he thought he knew about wildlife. He's become quite the conservationist in his retirement. The program challenged Lily in ways she hadn't anticipated. The other interns were older, with formal education in biology and environmental science. What Lily lacked in academic knowledge, however, she made up for with her intuitive understanding of animal behavior and her uncanny ability to approach wildlife that typically avoided human contact. Her first major test came during a research expedition tracking a collared grizzly bear and her cubs through a remote valley. The research team had lost the signal from the bear's tracking collar and feared something had happened to the animal. After 2 days of fruitless searching, the team was preparing to abort the mission when Lily suggested a different approach. If I were a mother bear with cubs in this valley, where would I go? She asked, studying the topographical map. Bears typically follow game trails and water sources, one of the senior researchers explained somewhat condescendingly. We've already checked all the likely routes. But if she's injured, or if the collar is malfunctioning, she might seek shelter somewhere protected, Lily suggested. Somewhere with good visibility but hard for predators to approach. Eleanor considered Lily's reasoning. What location are you thinking of? Lily pointed to a rocky outcropping overlooking a small tributary of the main river. There. It has water, shelter under those rock overhangs, and a good view of the valley. If I were hiding cubs, that's where I'd go. To the surprise of the more experienced researchers, Eleanor agreed to check Lily's suggested location. The team hiked for several hours through difficult terrain, climbing steadily toward the rocky promontory. As they approached, Eleanor signaled for everyone to stop and be silent. Through her binoculars, Lily could see movement under one of the rocky overhangs, the unmistakable brown fur of a grizzly bear. The mother bear was there with her cubs, exactly where Lily had predicted. Incredible, whispered Dr. James Chen, one of the senior researchers who had dismissed Lily's suggestion earlier. How did you know? Lily struggled to explain her reasoning. It wasn't scientific deduction, but something more intuitive, an ability to think like the animals she had observed so carefully over the years. I just tried to feel what the mother bear would want for her cubs. The bear's collar had indeed malfunctioned, its battery depleted prematurely. The team set up remote cameras to monitor the family from a safe distance, gathering valuable data without disturbing them further. That evening, as they gathered around the campfire, Eleanor asked Lily a question that would shape the rest of her summer. "Lily, have you ever considered that what you have might be a gift, a special ability to understand wildlife that goes beyond normal observation?" Lily had never thought of her connection with animals as a gift. It was simply part of who she was, like her blonde hair or her love of thunderstorms. "I don't know if it's special," she said hesitantly. "I just pay attention to what animals are trying to tell us." "That's precisely what makes it special," Eleanor insisted. "Most humans never listen to what other species are communicating. They impose their own expectations and assumptions. You don't do that." Over the following weeks, Eleanor designed a special research project for Lily, documenting her interactions with various wildlife throughout the preserve. The results were consistent across species. Animals that typically fled from human presence would allow Lily to approach to a much closer distance. Injured animals seemed to calm in her presence, and on several occasions, wild creatures appeared to deliberately seek her out. "It's like they can sense something different about you," Eleanor observed, after witnessing a wild fox accept food from Lily's hand without hesitation. "Something that tells them you're not a threat." As fascinating as the research was, Lily found herself thinking often of Pine Ridge and the bear family she had left behind. Each night before sleep, she would hold the vial containing the mother bear's fur and renew her silent promise to return and continue protecting their shared forest. Midway through the summer program, Eleanor received a call that changed everything. She found Lily by the research station's small lake, where the girl was sketching a family of otters playing along the shore. "Lily, I've just had some disturbing news from Pine Ridge," Eleanor said, her expression grave. "There's been a significant development that might threaten the sanctuary." Lily's heart sank. "What's happened?" "A mining company has discovered potentially valuable mineral deposits beneath part of the sanctuary. They're petitioning to have the protected status revised to allow exploratory drilling." Lily felt as if the ground had dropped away beneath her. "But they can't do that. It's protected land. Unfortunately, the mineral rights were established before the sanctuary designation. There's legal precedent for allowing mining even in protected areas if the mineral resources are deemed significant enough to the national interest." "National interest?" Lily repeated, her voice rising. "What about the interest of the animals who live there? What about the promises we made to protect their home?" Eleanor nodded grimly. "That's exactly the argument your parents and Marcus are making. But they're up against powerful economic interests. Your father asked if you might consider coming home early to help. Your connection with the bears, especially if it could be demonstrated again, might sway public opinion as it did before." Lily didn't hesitate. "I have to go back. I promised." 2 days later, Lily was on a plane heading south, leaving the Alaskan wilderness behind much earlier than planned. As she watched the vast forests and mountains disappear beneath the clouds, she thought about the mother bear's final visit before her departure. How the animal had seemed to know she was leaving. How she had marked the territory as if making a statement about belonging and protection. "I'm coming," Lily whispered to the window. "I'm coming to help keep our promise." Pine Ridge Forest looked the same when Lily returned, its familiar trees and trails unchanged on the surface. But the atmosphere in the community had shifted dramatically. Signs reading "Jobs Not Bears" and "Progress Means Prosperity" dotted some lawns, while others displayed "Protect Pine Ridge" and "Sanctuary Not Sacrifice Zone." North Star Mining Corporation had moved quickly, setting up a headquarters in the town and beginning a public relations campaign emphasizing economic benefits and minimal environmental impact. Their representatives spoke of surgical extraction techniques, restoration plans, and most persuasively, hundreds of high-paying jobs in a region still struggling with unemployment. The Watsons' cabin had become an informal headquarters for the sanctuary protection effort. When Lily arrived, she found Marcus, her parents, and a dozen community activists gathered around maps and documents spread across their dining table. "Lily," Emma exclaimed, embracing her daughter tightly. "We've missed you so much. Thank you for coming home." Noah hugged her next, his face showing both joy at her return and worry about the situation. "You didn't have to cut your program short, but we're grateful you did." "Of course I came," Lily said simply. "I made a promise." Marcus brought her up to speed on the situation. North Star Mining was primarily interested in a ridge on the eastern edge of the sanctuary, a ridge that happened to be part of the territory frequented by the Bear family they had helped years ago. Their initial surveys suggest copper, nickel, and possibly rare earth elements, Marcus explained, pointing to geological maps. "Valuable enough that they're willing to fight hard for access." "What can I do to help?" Lily asked, studying the maps. "Your story, your connection with the Bears, was powerful enough to change minds before," Emma explained. "We're hoping it might work again. North Star is holding a town hall meeting tomorrow night. We'd like you to speak." "But there's more," Noah added. "We haven't seen the Bear family in over a month. Not on any of the trail cameras, not anywhere in their usual territory. It's like they've vanished." Lily felt a chill run through her. That's not possible. They wouldn't abandon their territory unless something forced them out. "North Star has been conducting preliminary surveys with permission from the state," Marcus acknowledged. "Helicopter flyovers, ground teams taking samples. The disturbance might have driven the bears to seek quieter areas deeper in the forest. Or something might have happened to them," Lily said quietly, voicing the fear no one wanted to acknowledge. That evening, after the meeting broke up, Lily sat alone on the back porch, looking out at the forest that had been her classroom and playground throughout childhood. The mother bear's fur remained in the vial around her neck, a tangible connection to the promise she had made. On impulse, Lily rose and walked to the edge of the forest. The summer evening was warm, fireflies beginning to flicker among the trees. She closed her eyes and tried to feel what she had felt years ago, that inexplicable connection that had drawn her to follow an injured bear into the woods. "Where are you?" she whispered to the darkening forest. "I came back to help. I need to know you're safe." For long minutes, she stood in silence, listening to the familiar sounds of the forest at dusk. Birds settling for the night, the rustle of small creatures in the underbrush, the soft sigh of wind through pine needles, but no huffing sound of a bear, no crack of branches beneath heavy paws. Disappointed but not deterred, Lily returned to the cabin. She would need a different approach. The town hall meeting the next evening was tense from the start. The community center was packed, with clear divisions between those supporting the mining operation and those opposing it. North Star's representatives were polished and professional, armed with charts showing economic projections, computer animations of their minimally invasive mining techniques, and testimonials from communities where they had operated previously. "The copper and rare earth elements beneath Pine Ridge are essential components for green energy technology," explained Bradley Reynolds, North Star's executive vice president. "Solar panels, wind turbines, electric vehicle batteries all require these minerals. By responsibly extracting these resources, Pine Ridge can contribute to fighting climate change while creating economic opportunities locally." It was a compelling argument that resonated with many in the audience. When Reynolds showed slides of reclaimed former mining sites, lush with vegetation and seemingly pristine, even some sanctuary supporters looked swayed. When the time came for community responses, Noah spoke first, emphasizing the unique nature of the sanctuary and the precedent that would be set by allowing industrial activity within its boundaries. Others followed, arguing both for and against the proposal with increasing emotion. Finally, it was Lily's turn. At 13, she was easily the youngest speaker, and the room quieted as she approached the microphone. She had prepared notes but set them aside, deciding instead to speak from the heart. My name is Lily Watson. When I was very young, I followed an injured mother bear into the forest. Many of you know that story, how the bear trusted me, how we helped her and her cubs, how that experience changed how we understood these animals. She paused, looking around the room at familiar faces, neighbors she had known all her life. That bear taught me something important, that animals aren't just things that live in the forest. They're individuals with feelings, with families, with homes they care about, just like we do. Lily took a deep breath before continuing. The mining company has shown you beautiful pictures of reclaimed land, and maybe those places do look nice in photographs. But what they don't show you is what happens to the animals who called that place home before the mining began. Where did they go when the bulldozers came? Where will our bears go if we break our promise to protect their home? Reynolds shifted uncomfortably in his seat as Lily continued. The most important thing the bears taught us wasn't about animal intelligence or behavior. It was about trust. That mother bear trusted us with her cubs, the most precious things in her world, and we promised to protect their home in return. If we break that promise now, what does that say about us? As she spoke, a commotion arose at the back of the hall. People turned in their seats, murmuring in surprise. The rear doors had been propped open due to the summer heat, and standing in the doorway, silhouetted against the evening sky, was a large, black bear. Gasps and exclamations filled the room as people recognized the mother bear from the sanctuary. She stood perfectly still, her intelligent eyes seeming to survey the gathered humans. "Nobody move," Marcus cautioned, rising slowly from his seat. "Stay calm." But Lily felt no fear, only a surge of joy and vindication. "She came," she said into the microphone, her voice carrying through the suddenly hushed room. "She knew we were talking about her home." With deliberate steps, Lily walked down the center aisle toward the bear. People watched in stunned silence, some reaching for children protectively, others frozen in their seats. "Lily, wait," Noah called softly, but she continued walking. When she reached the doorway, Lily stopped a few feet from the bear. "You came back," she said quietly. The mother bear huffed softly, that familiar sound that seemed almost like language between them. She remained at the doorway for several long moments, her eyes moving from Lily to the gathering and back again. Then, with a final huff, she turned and moved unhurriedly back toward the forest edge, stopping once to look back. Without hesitation, Lily followed. "Lily!" Emma called, starting after her daughter, but Noah caught her arm. "Wait," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "Look." At the forest edge, the mother bear was not alone. Standing in the shadows were two younger bears, her now adult offspring, and between them, two small cubs peered curiously at the human commotion. 3 generations, Marcus whispered in awe. "She's showing us 3 generations that call this forest home." People began streaming out of the community center, maintaining a respectful distance but drawn by the extraordinary sight. Reynolds and the other North Star executives followed, their expressions shifting from concern to fascination as they watched Lily standing calmly near the bear family. The mother bear made no threatening moves, simply standing with her family at the boundary between forest and town, between wilderness and civilization. Her presence spoke volumes without a single human word being necessary. Reynolds approached Marcus, his corporate Polish momentarily abandoned. "Is this normal behavior for these bears?" Marcus shook his head. "There's nothing normal about the relationship between these bears and this community, Mr. Reynolds. That's exactly what we've been trying to tell you." The bears remained at the forest edge for perhaps 10 minutes, allowing themselves to be seen, allowing their presence to register with every witness. Then, with a final look toward the gathered humans, the mother bear led her family back into the protective darkness of their forest home. In the silence that followed their departure, Reynolds cleared his throat. "I think," he said slowly, "that North Star needs to reconsider its position regarding Pine Ridge Sanctuary." The bears' dramatic appearance at the town hall meeting became international news overnight. Video footage captured on phones spread across social media and news outlets, accompanied by headlines like "Bears Attend Meeting About Their Home" and "Wild Animals Join Conservation Debate." Wildlife experts, psychologists, and philosophers debated the significance of the event. Had the bears simply wandered near the meeting by coincidence? Had they been drawn by the gathering of humans in an unusual location? Or had they somehow understood that their territory was under discussion? For the residents of Pine Ridge, who had witnessed the bears' behavior over years, there was little doubt. The timing was too perfect. The bear's calm demeanor too deliberate to be coincidence. The mother bear had made her statement, and it had been understood by those with eyes to see. North Star Mining officially suspended their petition for access to the sanctuary 3 days later. Their public statement cited unique ecological and cultural factors that make Pine Ridge unsuitable for resource development at this time. Privately, Reynolds admitted to Marcus that the company couldn't face the public relations nightmare of being seen as destroying the home of bears who had demonstrated such extraordinary behavior. For Lily, the bear's appearance confirmed what she had always felt, that the connection between her family and the bear family went beyond normal human-animal interactions. It was a relationship built on trust, respect, and a kind of communication that science was only beginning to understand. The morning after the town hall meeting, Lily ventured into the forest alone, following trails she had known since childhood. She carried no phone, no camera, nothing that would create a barrier between herself and the forest she sought to understand. In a small clearing about 2 miles from the cabin, she found what she was looking for: fresh bear tracks in the soft earth near a stream. Following them carefully, she moved deeper into the forest, paying attention to every sound and sign around her. The mother bear was waiting in a larger clearing, sitting calmly as if expecting Lily's arrival. Her adult offspring and the cubs were not visible, though Lily suspected they were nearby, watching from the safety of the surrounding woods. "You came to the meeting," Lily said, approaching slowly and sitting on a fallen log about 20 feet from the bear. "You knew we needed help." The bear huffed softly, that familiar sound that seemed to convey recognition and acknowledgement. "The mining company is leaving," Lily continued, feeling no self-consciousness about speaking to the bear, as if she could understand every word. "Your home is safe again. For now, at least." For nearly an hour, Lily sat with the mother bear in comfortable silence, two beings sharing space with neither fear nor dominance. Occasionally, the bear would groom herself or investigate something nearby, but she remained in the clearing, seemingly content with Lily's presence. Finally, Lily spoke again. "I need to understand better. How you think, how you communicate. I want to help protect all forests, all animals, but I need to learn more." As if in response, the mother bear rose and approached a nearby tree. With deliberate movements, she stood on her hind legs and reached as high as she could, leaving deep claw marks in the bark, a territory marker that any bear would recognize. Then she dropped to all fours, looked directly at Lily, and repeated the huffing sound before turning toward a game trail leading deeper into the forest. At the edge of the clearing, the bear paused and looked back, waiting. Lily understood immediately. "You want me to follow you again?" Without hesitation, she rose and followed the bear into the forest, just as she had done as a small child years before. This time, however, she followed not out of innocent curiosity, but with purpose and understanding. A human and a bear communicating in ways that transcended normal boundaries. The bear led Lily on a journey through the sanctuary, stopping at specific locations that Lily gradually recognized as important habitat features. A berry patch rich with fruit, a stream teeming with fish, a stand of nut-bearing trees, a hillside with dens suitable for winter shelter. It was as if the bear was giving Lily a tour of her world, showing her the resources that made the forest a perfect bear habitat. By the time they returned to the clearing where they had started, the sun was beginning to set. Lily knew her parents would be worried, but this journey had been too important to interrupt. "I understand," she told the bear as they paused at the clearing's edge. "You're showing me what matters to you, what needs protection." The mother bear made a final huffing sound, then melted into the forest shadows, leaving Lily to find her way home in the gathering dusk. She was not afraid. These trails were as familiar to her as the hallways of her own home. When she reached the cabin, she found her parents and Marcus on the porch, clearly worried but also expectant, as if they had somehow known she was on an important journey. "The mother bear showed me the sanctuary today," Lily explained simply. "All the places that matter to her family." Instead of scolding her for disappearing for hours, Noah nodded in understanding. "What did you learn?" "That we've only begun to understand," Lily replied, "and that I need to learn more if I'm going to help protect other forests, other animals." That night, as the Watson family sat around their kitchen table with Marcus, they made plans that would change all their lives. Lily would complete her education with a focus on wildlife biology and interspecies communication. The family would establish a foundation dedicated to studying and protecting the unique relationship between humans and wildlife at Pine Ridge. And most importantly, they would document everything they learned for future generations. "The bears have given us a gift," Emma said as they discussed their vision. "A glimpse into a different way of relating to the natural world. We have a responsibility to understand it as fully as possible." Lily fingered the vial of bear fur still hanging around her neck. "I think that's what she's been trying to show us all along. That we can communicate, that we can understand each other, if we just learn how to listen." 20. The language of trust. 10 years passed, bringing many changes to Pine Ridge and to the Watson family. The sanctuary expanded to include additional forest land donated by supporters and purchased through the Pine Ridge Wildlife Communication Foundation established by the family. The research center grew, attracting scientists from around the world interested in studying the unique behaviors observed in the local wildlife. Lily, now 23, had completed her degree in wildlife biology with a specialization in animal cognition and communication. Her thesis on the Pine Ridge bears had been published in leading scientific journals, challenging traditional views of animal intelligence and human-wildlife relationships. The mother bear, who had started it all, was elderly now, her muzzle completely gray, her movements slowed by age and arthritis. She had outlived the average lifespan for wild black bears, perhaps due to the protected environment of the sanctuary, and perhaps due to something else, a will to witness the changes she had helped create. On a crisp autumn morning, Lily led a small group through the sanctuary. Dr. Eleanor Blackwood, her mentor from the Denali program, had come to Pine Ridge with a team of researchers developing new methodologies for studying animal communication. They carried sophisticated equipment for recording and analyzing sounds beyond human hearing range and subtle body language cues that might be missed by casual observation. The breakthrough at Pine Ridge wasn't just about bears behaving differently, Lily explained as they hiked. It was about humans perceiving differently, learning to recognize communication that was always happening, but that we weren't equipped to understand. They set up their equipment near one of the areas Lily knew the bear family frequented, a sunny clearing with abundant berry bushes now heavy with autumn fruit. The researchers worked quietly, placing acoustic monitors and cameras designed to capture a full spectrum of animal activity. "Do you think they'll come?" Eleanor asked as they finished the setup. "Your bear family?" "They're not my bears," Lily corrected gently. "They're their own beings. But yes, I think they might visit. This clearing has been important to them for generations now." The team retreated to a blind constructed at the clearing's edge, where they could observe without disturbing any animals that might appear. For 2 hours they waited patiently, recording baseline forest sounds and the movements of smaller wildlife. Squirrels, birds, a passing fox. Then, just as some of the researchers were beginning to fidget with impatience, Lily raised her hand for silence. "Listen," she whispered. At first, the others heard nothing unusual, just the normal sounds of the forest. Then, gradually, they detected the soft sounds of large bodies moving carefully through underbrush, the occasional snap of a twig under heavy weight. The mother bear emerged first, moving slowly but deliberately into the clearing. Behind her came several younger bears, her adult offspring and their cubs, representing 3 generations descended from the bear Lily had first followed into the forest as a toddler. "Extraordinary," Eleanor breathed, adjusting her recording equipment. The entire extended family group. The bears moved into the clearing as if they owned it, which, Lily reflected, they did. They began foraging among the berry bushes, the younger bears occasionally playing or mock fighting while the older ones ate methodically, storing fat for the coming winter. The mother bear, after eating briefly, separated from the group and moved deliberately toward the blind where the researchers watched. The other scientists tensed, but Lily remained calm. "She knows we're here," she explained quietly. "She's acknowledging our presence." When the bear reached a point about 30 feet from the blind, she stopped and made a series of huffing sounds, the same communication Lily had come to recognize over the years. Then, to the astonishment of the visiting researchers, the bear deliberately picked up a fallen branch in her mouth and placed it on the ground, pointing toward a specific direction in the forest. "What is she doing?" one of the scientists whispered. Lily studied the bear's behavior intently. "I think she's trying to show us something." Without hesitation, Lily emerged from the blind. The other researchers made sounds of alarm, but Eleanor, who had witnessed Lily's unusual rapport with wildlife in Alaska years before, restrained them with a raised hand. "Let her work," Eleanor said simply. "This is what she does." Lily approached the mother bear slowly, maintaining eye contact. "What is it? What do you want to show us?" The bear huffed again and nudged the stick with her nose, then looked in the direction it pointed. After a moment, she turned and began walking slowly in that direction, pausing to look back at Lily. "She wants me to follow," Lily said over her shoulder to the astonished researchers. "Just like she did when I was a child." "Lily, be careful," Eleanor cautioned. But she was already following the bear into the forest, maintaining a respectful distance but matching the animal's deliberate pace. The researchers hurriedly gathered portable equipment and followed, hardly believing what they were witnessing. The mother bear led them on a path through the forest for nearly half a mile, occasionally pausing to ensure Lily was still following. Finally, they reached a small stream where the bear stopped and looked expectantly at Lily. At first, Lily saw nothing unusual, just the clear water flowing over rocks, the surrounding vegetation, the normal forest scene. Then she noticed what the bear was showing her. The water level in the stream was unusually low for autumn, with exposed rocks that would normally be submerged. "The stream is drying up," Lily realized aloud. "Something's wrong with the watershed." The bear huffed again, moving upstream with purpose. The group followed, and after another quarter-mile, they discovered the problem. A fallen tree and accumulated debris had created a dam, diverting much of the stream's flow away from its normal course. "This stream feeds the berry clearing," Lily explained to the others. "If it dries up, the berry bushes will die eventually. The bear is showing us a problem that affects her food supply." The researchers stood in stunned silence, absorbing the implications of what they were witnessing. A wild animal not only recognizing an environmental problem but deliberately leading humans to it, apparently seeking their intervention. "This goes beyond anything documented in scientific literature," Eleanor said finally, her voice filled with awe. "This is not just intelligence or problem-solving. This is interspecies cooperation at a level we didn't think possible." The mother bear watched them from the stream bank, her intelligent eyes moving between the humans and the blocked waterway. The message couldn't have been clearer if she had spoken in English. "This is broken. Can you fix it?" "We'll need to clear the blockage," Lily said, examining the makeshift dam. "It's beyond what the bears could manage with their strength and tools, but relatively simple for humans with the right equipment." As the researchers discussed how to address the problem, the mother bear made a soft huffing sound that Lily had come to recognize as satisfaction or approval. Then, with a final glance at the humans, she turned and walked back toward her family waiting in the berry clearing. Within days, a team from the sanctuary carefully removed the blockage, restoring the stream's natural flow. Trail cameras captured the bear family returning to investigate, the mother bear examining the repaired waterway with what appeared to be deliberate attention to the changes. "What we're witnessing is nothing short of revolutionary," Eleanor told journalists who had gathered to report on the unprecedented cooperation between humans and wild bears. "These animals aren't just responding to their environment, they're actively seeking to shape it, and they're intelligent enough to recognize when a problem requires human assistance." For Lily, the incident confirmed what she had always believed, that the relationship between her family and the bears transcended normal understanding of human-wildlife interaction. It wasn't just habituation or conditioning, it was genuine communication based on mutual trust and respect. 5 years later, Pine Ridge Sanctuary had become the leading center for research into animal, communication, and cognition. The methodology developed there, based on patience, respect, and careful observation, had been adapted for use in wildlife preserves around the world, leading to breakthrough insights into the intelligence and emotional lives of countless species. Lily, now 28 and with a doctorate in comparative cognition, had just returned from a year abroad where she had helped establish similar research protocols in sanctuaries across 4 continents. Her work was transforming how humans interacted with wildlife globally, creating protected spaces where animals could choose to communicate with humans on their own terms. It was a crisp autumn day when Marcus called with news that sent Lily rushing back to the heart of the sanctuary. The mother bear, now elderly by any measure of bear longevity, had been seen making her way slowly to a particular clearing, the same one where she had first allowed a toddler Lily to approach her injured leg all those years ago. "She's moving deliberately, but very slowly," Marcus reported. The sanctuary rangers have been instructed not to interfere, but to notify us immediately. Lily drove to the sanctuary entrance where her parents were already waiting. Noah's hair had turned gray, and Emma moved more slowly than in years past, but their eyes still shone with the same wonder that had embraced their daughter's extraordinary connection with the bears. "Do you think she's ill?" Emma asked as they hiked the familiar trail together. "She's very old for a wild bear," Noah replied gently. 25 years at least, from what Marcus has documented. Lily said nothing, feeling a tightness in her chest that went beyond words. The bond she shared with this particular bear transcended ordinary human-animal relationships. It was something neither science nor language could fully capture. A connection formed when an injured mother and a compassionate child had crossed boundaries that most believed uncrossable. They found the mother bear lying in a patch of dappled sunlight at the clearing's center. She was breathing slowly, her once powerful body now thin and frail with age. Surrounding her at a respectful distance were her offspring spanning 3 generations. Adult bears who had been cubs when Lily first met them, younger bears born in subsequent years, and the youngest generation, cubs who watched with curious eyes as the humans approached. Lily knelt beside the ancient bear, placing a gentle hand on her graying fur. The bear's eyes opened, still bright with intelligence despite her weakened state. She made the familiar huffing sound, softer now but unmistakable to Lily's ears. "She's been waiting for us," Lily said softly, tears filling her eyes. She knew it was time. Noah and Emma joined their daughter, the 3 humans sitting in a semicircle near the bear, who had changed their lives and, in some profound way, changed the relationship between humans and wildlife forever. "She came back to where it all began," Emma observed, her voice thick with emotion. For several hours they sat with the mother bear as her breathing grew more labored. The younger bears moved restlessly at the clearing's edge, but the older ones, those who had known Lily since their cubhood, maintained a solemn vigil alongside the humans. As the afternoon light began to fade, the mother bear made a more deliberate effort to move. With what seemed like tremendous will, she raised her massive head one last time and fixed her gaze on Lily. Their eyes met in a moment of perfect understanding. Human and bear, 2 intelligent species whose paths had crossed and forever altered each other's journey. The bear extended one paw, and Lily gently took it between her hands. For a breathtaking moment, it seemed as though 2 worlds had merged, the human world of conscious thought and articulated knowledge, and the bear world of instinct, memory, and unspoken wisdom. "Thank you," Lily whispered, tears streaming freely down her face, "for trusting us, for showing us a better way." The mother bear made one final, soft, huffing sound, the same communication she had used since that first encounter in the forest. Then her eyes slowly closed, and her breathing stilled. She had died as she had lived, on her own terms, surrounded by her family, in the forest that had been her home. As darkness fell, the humans remained with the bear family in shared grief. The adult bears approached one by one, touching their noses to their mother's still form in what could only be described as a farewell. Even the younger bears, who had never known the time before humans and bears had formed their unusual alliance, seemed to understand the solemnity of the moment. By unspoken agreement, the humans left before dawn, allowing the bear family privacy for whatever rituals they might observe among themselves. As they walked back through the forest in the gray light of early morning, Lily felt both profound sadness and a sense of completion. The cycle that had begun with her following an injured bear had come full circle. 3 days later, when they returned to the clearing, The mother bear's body was gone. The bear family had moved her remains in a manner that remained their private mystery. In the center of the clearing, however, was something that stopped Lily in her tracks. A perfect circle of pine cones, acorns, berries, and small branches, arranged with unmistakable deliberation. "They left a memorial," Marcus whispered in awe. "They're acknowledging her passing in their own way." In the months that followed, the bear family continued to inhabit their territory within the sanctuary, led now by the mother bear's oldest daughter. They maintained their unusual comfort with human presence, particularly with Lily and her family. The communication and trust that had been established continued to grow and evolve, proving that it hadn't been unique to one remarkable bear, but had become a cultural inheritance passed from one generation to the next. On the one-year anniversary of the mother bear's passing, the Watson family and sanctuary staff gathered in the clearing to dedicate a simple stone marker. It bore no name, for the bear had needed none among those who knew her, only the outline of a bare paw and the words, "She taught us to listen." As the small ceremony concluded, Lily noticed movement at the forest edge. The bear family had gathered, watching the human ritual with apparent understanding. The new matriarch, so like her mother in appearance and manner, made the familiar huffing sound that had become a bridge between species. Lily approached the edge of the clearing, stopping at a respectful distance from the assembled bears. "We remember her too," she said simply. "We won't forget what she taught us." The matriarch huffed again, then deliberately rose on her hind legs, not in threat but in acknowledgement, before leading her family back into the forest depths. That evening, as the Watson family sat on their cabin porch watching fireflies rise from the darkening forest, Lily finally put into words the lesson that had shaped her life's work. "What the mother bear gave us wasn't just trust or communication," she said thoughtfully. "It was perspective. She showed us that the boundaries we create between species, between humans and the natural world, are largely of our own making. When we're willing to set aside our assumptions about what animals can understand or feel, when we truly listen and observe with an open heart, we discover connections that have been there all along." Noah nodded, his weathered face thoughtful in the fading light. She chose to initiate contact. She chose to trust. That changes everything we thought we knew about wild animals. "Not just wild animals," Emma added softly. "It changes how we understand ourselves. If a bear can choose compassion over fear, can recognize the humanity in a small child and respond with trust rather than aggression, what does that tell us about our own capacity for connection?" Lily smiled, feeling the weight of the small vial she still carried, the mother bear's fur preserved from that first farewell years ago. "It tells us that the world is full of conversations we haven't been hearing, that every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest mammal, has something to say if we learn their language." "And what is that language?" Noah asked, though he already knew the answer. "Respect," Lily replied simply. "Patience, willingness to listen without imposing our expectations. The mother bear didn't learn human language. We learned to understand her on her terms. That's the gift she gave us, the lesson she taught. True communication begins with humility." As night fell completely over Pine Ridge Forest, the Watson family sat in comfortable silence, listening to the symphony of sounds emerging from the darkness. The hooting of owls, the chirping of crickets, the occasional distant call of coyotes. Each sound was a voice, each creature a being with its own experience of the world. Thanks to one extraordinary bear and one open-hearted child, those voices would be heard and respected for generations to come. The forest would remain a sanctuary, not just for wildlife, but for the precious, fragile bonds that can form when different species choose trust over fear, curiosity over prejudice, connection over separation. In the years that followed, as Lily's work spread around the world, as new methodologies for understanding animal communication transformed humanity's relationship with wildlife, as forests and creatures that might have been lost were protected and preserved, the lesson of the mother bear echoed through every success. The natural world has always been speaking to us. All we needed to do was learn how to listen. And somewhere in the depths of Pine Ridge Forest, generations of bears continue to remember the human child who followed an injured mother, reaching across the boundaries of species with compassion and curiosity, beginning a conversation that would ultimately change how we understand our place in the great web of life that connects all living things. For in the end, this was the mother bear's greatest gift and most profound lesson: the understanding that we are not separate from nature but an integral part of it, capable of communion with all living beings when we approach them not as masters or observers, but as humble fellow travelers on the journey of life, each with our own wisdom to share and our own lessons to learn.